Hi, everybody. As we get started this week, and especially as you start working towards that first assignment, it's really important that we just take a moment and walk through Miro. Miro is an awesome collaborative workspace, and so I hope that if you haven't had exposure to it yet, that it's something that you might want to consider using, especially if you've got collaborative projects at work. All right, so I'm going to pull up my screen here and walk through this with you. So when we come into Miro, now when you go to the home screen, you will see all of the boards because we are all in this education team together, our classroom. So everybody has a board listed here. And just today I went through and changed the share settings so that everybody in the class has the ability to view and comment on somebody else's work. Now, we do not have the ability to view and edit somebody else's work. And that's important because we certainly don't want to go in and unintentionally make modifications to somebody else's board. But it is important for us to be able to go through someone else's board and include a sticky note to ask a clarifying question. So let's get started. So I'm going to go here to tag teams. While I'm not going to be working through the same deliverables you are throughout the semester, I am going to have my own workspace in here for a project I'm working on, focused on surgical team coordination and communication. Because one, I want to become more comfortable in Miro. I think it's a great tool. I want to be able to showcase things differently. And I think it's also good for you to see kind of what I'm working on and how I'm teeing this up. So as I go in here to my board, and you can all rename your boards to align with your topics as well. Don't feel I've just included last names for now. You all have the ability to rename your boards as you choose. So I've created one frame here already. Now I created a question map because we have some interviews this week with some surgeons, and my colleague and I wanted to think through the high level areas that we wanted to ask questions about. As we'll get into next week, when we start interviewing folks, it's really important that we don't lead them and we don't have a really structured or rigid approach to asking the questions, because it's always going to generally lead someone to some answer that either you explicitly have or that you're just kind of working toward. So instead, question maps are really great. It helps us keep open and divergent and let their own experiences come to the forefront. Okay, so I created this question map for us. In terms of what you're going to be doing in the course, one of the things that I want you to do is, and here, there are a couple ways you can go about this. You can come down here, open frames. You can, and here, let's go to frames. Here it's showing this. I've got the question map. You can add a new frame this way and it'll pop over. Or you can rename the frame up here and then start doing the work in this space. And you just use your keypad. You can click on this area. You can click into the frame over here. It'll bring you right into that workspace. You can also change the aspect ratio, the size of these different frames, but play around with it and see what works for you. Okay, so we've got this new frame here, but I don't want to work in that right now. I want to come back out. So the first thing I'm going to do, this templates is really great. One of the things that you're going to be required to do throughout the course of the semester is use a Kanban board to keep track of your work. And again, that's using a kind of an agile frame and mentality to take this big project, which you have no idea what all of the steps are going to be in order to get to this final outcome at the end of the semester. But instead, we're going to take it in little chunks and work in sprints where you're going to have a goal, you're going to outline the steps that you believe are required to kind of close up that sprint, and then kind of use that to keep track of your work, again, throughout the sprint. What I'd like to see is that you're using it frequently, and hopefully if you kind of get into this habit and rhythm of using a Kanban, you'll start to use it in other aspects of your life as well. So there's awesome stuff in here. There's templates for everything. If you use OKRs at your organization, there's templates for that. There's project kickoff, brainstorming, agile workflows right here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to use this template to get it set up, but I'm going to want to modify it. You can also go up here at any map. You can see I was looking for question map, Kanban, user profile, persona. There are templates for all of this. While I'm going to use a template for the Kanban, I would advise against using templates for the other pieces until you've actually sketched it out with pencil and paper yourself. Now, the reasoning for that is if you start with a template, your mind automatically goes into how am I going to fill in these blanks? And again, we don't want to do that. We want to keep your thinking open and divergent. I will always advise get a sheet of paper, sketch something out. Doesn't have to be pretty, but there is a process when we actually put pencil to paper. It changes kind of how our brain thinks about the possibilities. It also releases serotonin, which is a wonderful thing, and helps us think more creatively about not only our understanding of the problem and opportunity, but how we can convey it in a more meaningful way to those that we're working with. Okay, off my soapbox. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use this Kanban frame and just plopped it right in this frame over here. So I can make this bigger if I want to have a frame dedicated to my Kanban board, or I could come out of this and decide to just bring this out and throw it over here, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can all see it. So the way a Kanban works is typically we've got a backlog of tasks to be done. We've got the ones that are in progress, and then we keep track of those that are done. Now you can modify this in any way you choose. Here, it automatically gives you 2 teams. That's not going to be relevant here in our case. So we want to go here and we're just going to delete this swim lane because it's just you working on this. And now you can even retitle these sections differently. A lot of times what I'll do is I've got a backlog of things that I have to do, and then I'll say to do today. This is how I basically manage my life. And then so what I'll do is even for Oswego, right, when it's preparing for one of my upcoming classes, or if it's grading work, I'll say, okay, so here, where did that name go? Rename, there it is. Okay, so I'll say, okay, today I need in my backlog, make Miro video. And I've got to respond to introductions. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to move this on over because I'm going to make this Miro video. It's what I'm doing right now, right? And so as we think about your work throughout the course of the semester, especially with the sprints, what I'm going to be looking for is that you're using the Miro board to actually progress the work in a meaningful way. It's also going to help me keep track of how you're thinking about your upcoming tasks and deliverables. Do you have upcoming interviews or observations? And that's going to help me provide better coaching and feedback for you. So let's say we want to now jump back over here to this frame. And here I'm actually, I'm going to use another template. And again, don't use a template when you start your persona. You absolutely can, but be open to modifying it. All right, so here, there's a lot of different variations for what these personas could look like. Let's see, character mix and match. This is fun. Can make an image of myself and then add some things around it. All right, let's give this one a try. So it's going to load this template. Chugging along, chugging along. Maybe this one's a little bit more complicated. Where did it go? Nobody knows. There it is, right there. Okay. So again, this is really small, so I want to wrap around all of this content. I want to make this bigger. Whoops, looks like I missed something over there. Let's go a little bit bigger here. It's still doing it. All right, hold on. So again, I made a couple of mistakes. I'm just going to do the undo button, shift, 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 get this back to the right positioning. And then I'm going to take this. Why isn't this doing this? It's not selecting that. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on with this one. Let's try to jump in here. So we're just going to zoom in. Okay, so character mix and match. And now again, we're thinking about in this first assignment, I want you to create a persona for yourself. So you can use this really just to kind of come in and create your version of you using some of these icons, right? This is let's see, this will be me. And then I'm going to go ahead and I can start adding some information about myself here over on the side, right? To tell you a little bit more about who I am, what makes me tick, jobs to be done, all of those components, which will help. In this first assignment, it might seem a little weird to do a persona on yourself, but we're doing it for 2 reasons. One, because I want you to understand your own point of view that you're bringing into this project. And secondly, it's going to give you some practice so that when you're going to start doing the personas for the folks you're going to be interviewing and observing, you've kind of got an idea of how you're analyzing the individual. Not only the job they're doing, but what are they coming in? What are they bringing into that role? You know, what lights them up? What do they have going on outside of work? All of those things are contributing factors to understanding and really developing empathy for those that we're designing for and with. Okay, This is my high-level overview. If you have questions as you get started, please do not hesitate to reach out. Again, I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. I look forward to working with you all in Miro. See you soon.